This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so the agenda for today is I'll be showing you one small code so that code will be in Eclipse. So I'll show you how to write the code in Eclipse, all the configuration. The second thing is we'll see one code which is already written in Eclipse, and I'll try to demonstrate that with AWS Glue. And third thing is, if time permits, so we'll see one scenario from CCA 175 certification. So that's what actually I'm trying to plan to finish in this 1.5 hour. So let's start. What's how we need to go. Okay, so let me show you my Eclipse before. This is my Eclipse. I have nothing in over here. So how to create the project, etc., etc. That will be shown later. So I'll first explain you what the scenario is. So these are the three files which are given to us, like product CSV, supplier CSV, and product supplier CSV. These are the three files with some dummy data inside that. And what we need to do is we need to derive this solution. So this is what we need to do with coding stuff. Let me start that first. So what I'll do is I'll create an object. What is an object? What is a class? That will be taken care in further trainings. So what I'm doing is, let's say demo class. I'm just creating an object of it. I'll show you where all my files are kept. So I've just kept all the three files ready with me, like products, CSV. So I'll just copy this path. Okay, so what I'll do is, first, whenever we start coding, so there is always a main method and objects or class we write. So here I'll be starting with a main method. Means here in Scala, everything is an object. So that's what we need to take care, and let's start writing that as well. Okay, so I'll just create a main method, and that will be my args of array of string. Okay, so I've already created, means my POM file is already created, so that is project object model. So whatever all the dependency that is needed for Spark core, as of now, I would be using RDDs and data frames. So I have already have my dependency in place. So we need to download this dependency from Maven. I'm using a Maven as a build tool. Okay. So now to achieve this, I'll be, so this is the thing, this is the scenario I'm trying to show. So what I would be doing is, first I would be reading the files from my local file system. Then what I would be doing is I would be removing the header because it contains the header. I would be removing that. Then what I would be doing is I would be creating a case class and an object out of it. And the last thing is I would be converting this to data frame and some temp tables, and I would be writing some Spark SQL queries. So this is the flow which I'll try to show you in this scenario. Let's go ahead with that. Now, whenever we are starting with the Spark 1 context as Spark context and Spark 2 as Spark session, so we can use both of the things. So I will go ahead with this Spark session because that is the latest thing which is there. And so I'm creating a Spark session. So in this Spark session, all these are predefined syntax and steps. So it's pretty simple. So Spark session. Now, if you see, I'm not getting any APIs related to the Spark session. Why? Because I have not imported the package. So for this, we need to import the package, and that package name is org.apache.spark.sql.spark session. Once you do that, and I'll just go back and I'll just press enter. Now it will start prompting me all the APIs methods which are available in the Spark session. So let me go ahead with the builder. Now in this builder method, So let's move ahead and go for app name. I'll just give, let's say, demo. And in this demo, would be creating a master and I would be assigning that to a local. So here we can, now my system is installed on the local mode. There are a couple of modes like client mode, cluster mode. So in real time, we use cluster mode and client mode. So mostly. So, but here just for practice purpose, I'm showing local mode. And I'm telling you get or create. So this is a predefined syntax. So you will always remember once you once you start writing the codes. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating a Spark contest to set my log level. So this is my log level. So I would be setting that to error. So all the error message would be displayed on my console. Now, in between, when I would be reading the files, in between there will be a scenario wherein I will be needed to convert my RDDs to data frame. So for that, we need to import spark.implicits. So this is the import package that is mostly needed for conversion of RDDs to data frame. So my definition is done. Now let's start reading the files one by one. So first, I'll start reading the file of products. So let's start reading the product file. Well, read product RDD equals to spark.sparkcontext.text file. See, it always prompts you for all the APIs. So it's pretty easy once you know the things and start the coding. So let me paste the path. So I've already, let me just replace this backslash with the forward slash as it's a local file system. And let me mention my file name. My file name is products.txt. Okay, so if you'll just hover this, can you see this? This is an RDD of string. So I'll just copy this and I'll just show you how the data looks like in this RDD. So right click this and run as Scala application. So it takes a bit of time for the first time to build your code. So it is building some dependencies, packages, and once this is built, so it will start running and it will show you what's there in your file. So in between, so this is the file and this is the header. So now this is not sorted, but if I write a collect method and if I run that again, so that should be in a proper format. Again, it is building. So this time it should not take much time. It should run. So it's running now. So can you see my header is there and I have my data. So what I need to do is I need to remove this header. So let's write a small code for that. So what I'll do is I'll just read all the three files in one go so that my code looks neat and clean. So what are the three files? The three files are products, suppliers, and products underscore suppliers. So here I'll just change the name so that second is suppliers and the third file is products underscore suppliers. And I just need to change my file name. My file name over here is suppliers.txt. Let me see if spellings are correct. Yes. And here I just need to write products underscore suppliers. So if I just run again, all the three files data would be reflected. I have already tested for one file, so let's not test for other files because it will show for sure. Now what I need to do is I need to remove the header. So to remove the header, let's say val, then what I would do is product header. So I'm just trying to remove the header from this file, from this RDD. So I'll show you that. So we have a first API. So with this first API, we will get the first record. That is the highlighted thing. Okay. Once this is done, what I will do is I will create my actual RDD, that is product RDD. So this is the RDD which contains the header. From this RDD, what I will do, I will remove the header. So that's what I am trying to do in the second step. So let me do that, and I will use a filter API dot filter. So what I need to do is filter. So filter X in, I'm using a lambda function over here. So what is lambda functions, that will be shown later. And I just need to mention this. So I just need to filter this over here. So why it is telling, so let me see what is the error. So it is telling it is both ambiguous. Well, product RDD, so I'm reading this, and this should be removed. Okay, that is fine. Let me just comment this out, and let me take this. So first we'll see one file conversion end to end, then we can move with the second one. So that will be easy for us. Okay, so I'm reading the file. Okay, I've readed the first, so I'm getting the first and product header from this original RDT. So what I'm doing is I'm filtering in row not equals to product header. So is ambiguous, both defined in class object and in the imports path implicits. This should not be the case. Well, it's part of my test, so I'm reading. Let me see that I'm able to get my product header first. So let me just do this for each and println this. Let me run this, and whether I'm able to get my header. Okay, so that is getting iterated. That is okay. So that this piece of thing is working. Now let me write val prod rdd equals to, from this rdd, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to filter. What I'm trying to filter is, so let's say x in x is not equals to the header which I have removed. Let me paste this over here. Okay, so now this looks good. Let me copy this, and let's see, my file now could not contain any header inside this. Let me run this. So once this is done for first file, so for second and third file, it's just like a copy paste and will work a bit quick, will move a bit quickly. So let's see the data. So I don't see any headers over here. Okay, that is good. So let's move ahead with second and third files. Let me close the console and let me remove this. So I'm done with this. So now let me copy the, so I'll do this for three files. This is the second file and this is the third file. Okay, so now I just need to read my supplier file, and this will be my supplier.txt. Okay, after reading this, what I'm doing is I'm removing the header from the supplier header. So I just need to paste this over here. So this will be my supplier RDD. So from the original RDD, I need to remove my header. Done. So I'm done with my second file. So what is my third file name? So third file name is products underscore supplier.txt. Okay. So let's go over here and let's name some product supplier.txt, and this is the file name, product supplier.txt. Okay, good. So now let's remove the header. So from this I need my first, so I'm getting that. Okay, so I need my first supplier, and from this RDD with header I wanted to remove the header. Okay, so I'm done. So this code is tested for one, and hopefully it should run for the second. So what I've done my first step, that I've read the file, And we have done the second step also. So removing the header. Now the third step is, now what we need to do, we need to create a case class and create a case class and object of it. So why I need to create a case class? Because when these files are being read as an RDD, so this everything is considered as a row. So what I need to do is I need to create the schema for this, that is with the case class, and individual data column I need to map it to the class which I created. So this column will get mapped to this, product code will get mapped to this, and so on. So this is what I'm trying to achieve in my third step, creating case class and object. So to create a case class, we'll just take the headers because it will help me to write a code a bit quickly. Okay, so let me write the case class. So the first case class is for which file? It is for, I'm writing for products file. So this is the products case file. So let me copy this and let me case class. So I'll name this as product class and I'll just copy all the column names. So after copying the column names, we just need to map the data types. So the first one is integer. The second is product code is of string. Name is again of string. And let me see, quantity is of float. Okay. So quantity, if you see this quantity, this is integer and the price is 1 point. So it's a float. So let me write quantity as integer and let me write this as float. Spelling error. So capital A. And the last thing is my done. So this is done for my one file. Let me do this for my second file and third file respectively. So my second file is suppliers. So it has few columns and then let me go over here and let me write a case class that will be supplier class. And I have copied the column names. Let me see the data inside this. So this is string, sorry, integer, string, and integer. So let's go with that. Supplier ID is of integer, name is of string, and phone is of integer. Done. Let me do with this with my last file, that is product supplier. It has only two columns and both are integer. So let me write a case class for that as well. And that would be named as product supplier class. And let's copy that, and both are integer. Done. So I have done with my case class creation. It means that I have defined the schema on the file. Now what I need to do is I need to map individual columns to this schema. So what I would be doing is I would be creating a case object. So if you see the product files, it is separated by a comma delimiter. So what I need to do is I need to map this individual column separated with a comma delimiter to the schema defined in the case class. And the indexing would be starting from 0. So this will be considered as 0, 1, 2, and so on. So let's start defining my product object. So let's say val product object equals to. Now, in this product object, what was my original RDD without header? So this was my original RDD without header. Okay. So in this RDD, what I would be doing is I would be using a map function. So what map does is it whatever function we write, now I want to split because the file is delimited by a comma separator. So I'm done. So it is separated by a delimiter. Now each individual column will be there. Now what I would be doing is I would be using one more map function, and what is my file name? My file name is product. So I need to map this individual data to its individual columns. I have already separated this with my comma delimiter. So let's start here. Now when we are doing a map, so this is, let's say, p in, again I'm writing a lambda function over here. So what is the class which I have created? I have created a case class, correct? So in this case class, what I need to do is I need to map individual objects, and I told you the indexing would be starting from 0. So P of 0, and as this is an integer, so I would be doing a typecasting. So that is to integer, comma. So can you see this? It was integer. Now if you see product code, so that will be my P of 1. So that is a string. No need to typecast this. P of 2. So what is P of 2? So again, that is string. So P of 0, P of 1, P of 2. It's done. Now P of 3, that is integer. So I need to typecast that to int. Done. Then price, P of 4. So that is to float. So done. And the last is P of 5. So no need to typecast that. So I'm done. So now I have individually mapped. The same thing, what I need to do is I need to do with the supplier object. So what is the RED? So this is the RED with after removing the header. So I'll be applying the same function over here. So let's copy and paste to save a little bit of time. And I would be using a map function. So here I would be using as you can use anything. It's just a nomenclature. What you need to do again, I'm using a lambda function over here. So what is my class name? My class name is supplier class. So in this I need to map. So let's go and see my supplier file. So I have supplier ID, supplier name, and phone. I can see this over here: integer, string, and integer. So let's start mapping this. So s of 0, so this is integer. Let typecast this to integer. Then s of 1, that is of string. By default is a string, so no need to map. Then s of 2, again that is of to integer. Done. Let's do for the last one is that is the um, product supplier object. The last thing is product supplier object. Okay. So if you see this, so what is my transformed RDD? So this is my transformed RDD, means without header. So I'll be just applying the same split function over it because all my three files are delimited with the comma delimiter. Okay, so again I'll have map function. So what does map function does is it iterates over all the elements in the collection, and whatever lambda function or whatever logical things you are writing, it gets applied on each element. So that is a of what mod function does is sorry map. Now what I'll do is I'll just map this. So I'll say this is product supplier. Okay, so what is my class name? My class name is this. Let me bring this over here and I need to map. Let's go, or you can see this, both are integer. So as of PS of 0, that is product supplier, that will be of to int, and PS of 1, this will be of also to int. Done. So these steps are done. I'm done with my creation of case class and creation of my object. Now what I need to do is I need to create a data frame out of it, and I need to create a temporary table so that I can write my Spark SQL queries over it. So let's create a data frame. So val, I would be creating a product data frame. So we just need to write a simple 2df function, 2df. So if you hover over this, can you see this is RDD of class? And if you will hover over this, can you see this is RDD of string? So what I'm doing is I'm converting this RDD of string to now data frame. So data frame is like in a tabular format. So let me create my supplier data frame. That will just, I need to read this and I need to do a 2df. And the same way for the third thing, that is my product supplier data frame. So I just need to copy the transform class and I just need to write my 2df method. Done. So I'm done with the data frame stuff. Now I need to create the temp tables. So if I show you, just show you the data, how this data frames looks like. So what I'll do, I'll just use the show method. Okay, spelling error. Let me modify that and let me execute this. So I'm just showing you one data frame. How does it looks like? So it will be in a proper tabular format. And what I will do is on top of that, I will create a temp table so that I can write SQL queries. So there are two methods in data frames we can achieve the solution. So one is the Spark SQL queries and the one is DSL, that is domain specific language. So in the last scenario where I would be using my domain set. Can you see this? The file now this has come in a proper tabular format. Now let me go ahead and remove this. Now what I would be doing is I would be creating the temporary tables. So this is my data frame and there is a create or replace temp view. And here I would be just naming a small, let's say I'm naming this as product temp table. You can name anything, it's up to you. So I'm just following a naming convention because whenever I forget, I can recall that easily. So create or replace temp view. And here I'm saying this is my supplier temp table. And the last thing is, let me go for my product supplier data frame. And here I just need to say create or replace temp view. And I would be just writing this as product supplier temp table. Okay, now I'm done with all my creation. So I'll just increase the font if you're not able to see. So done. So what I need to do is now what I would be writing is I need to achieve this. So we are almost done with this implementation. Now we need to achieve this. So I'll just show you. So we have created the temp table. So we are done. Now we need to write the Spark SQL queries because we have already transformed our data frames into temp table. Okay. So what I will do is I will just write val results because now I am able to. So spark.sql. So spark.sql. Now I would be using multiple line to write this SQL queries. So let me do over here. Okay, now let's write. So what it is, what the scenario told us to. So we need to select what we need to select. We need to select product. We need to select its price. We need to select supplier name where product is less than 0. So product and its price and supplier name. Okay, so let me start writing the query. So I will write a query. So I'll just name as P. So I'll be doing a table alias. So column name is I think product code. So just yeah, product code. So column name is product code and it will be the product name and p dot price because I would be applying a filter on that. And what I need to achieve product price per name and supplier name. So supplier name would be coming from S name. Okay. So I'm just writing this. So from my product temp table, so which I'll name as P and I would be joining that with my supplier temp table and that would be my S. Okay, so I've done my join on that. And what I need to do is I need to give a joining condition. So let me the what is the joining column? So this will be I think product ID. In my products ID and in my suppliers I have a supplier ID. So both in both the thing I have a common column as supplier ID. So I would be writing a join on dot that column p dot supplier ID. Okay, p dot supplier ID equals to s dot supplier ID. And I just need to write the where clause. So what was my where clause? Where, and what I need to filter is so price is less than, okay, so that this comes from my product. So p dot price and that is less than 0.6. Okay, I think I'm done with my query. This is what actually we needed that. And what we will do is we will copy this and we will just do a show. Okay, so let me run this and let's see the output. So now this is running. Okay, we have got the output. Can you see this output? So if I'll go over there and if I see, so pencil 3B 0.52, okay, we are getting 4 records, 48, 49, 47. Okay, so we are getting all the data as requested in this scenario. So what I have done in this, so it's just simple coding what I have done, nothing much complex. So let me just reduce the size. This will be minus. Okay. So what I have done is first thing is I have imported my Spark session. So I've created a Spark context. Why? Because in this Spark, we have all the APIs which will help us to solve. Then I read the files, I removed the header, and I filtered the header from my original RDT. So the same thing I followed for all the three files. After doing that, what I did is I created a case class. Why I created this schema on top of this RDT? Because in RDT, everything is in a row. So I wouldn't be able to extract individual columns. So what I need to do is I need to create case class and I need to map each columns to this case class. I've done that. I've converted it to a data frame. After that, I would have done the writing the queries in this data frame also using DSL method, that is domain specific language. But here I wanted to show you the SQL writing queries because people are well versed with SQLs. So what I've done is I've created a temp table and I've written a small query on top of that. And this is the result which has been displayed. So this is what we have done in this. So any questions on this? Hello? Am I able to hear? Can you hear me and see my screen? Can someone respond? Means, did you follow this? Means, or understood what I showed?
Yes, I can.
Okay, okay, okay. So that's fine. So I think we are done with the first thing. So let me erase this. So the same thing can be done with data frames also in DSL. So maybe if time permits. Now I'll show you one code in the Eclipse, which I have already pre-written just to save a little bit of time. And I'll show you the same code in AWS. So if you'll see this, this is the code. So let me go over here. So in this code again, I'm just reading the first I'll explain you the scenario, what the scenario is. So this is the movies file. So I have done this using my Eclipse, that is the on-premise coding and AWS coding. I've used both the method. So if you'll see over here, so this is my movie ID column, this is my title column, and this is my genre column. What I needed to do is I needed to split my Toy Story, and this is the string and this is the year, and I needed to split this. So the same thing I'm just trying, I've written the code over here. I'll explain a little bit, means this is the part of my training wherein we go in depth how to write the code. So I'll just execute this. I'll just show you some 5 records. So how the transform data looks like when we are doing the coding on-premise. So this is my on-premise coding. Then I'll show you the cloud coding. So can you see the data is being now transformed as per the requirement. Now let me go to my AWS console and let me log in. So here I have used, now most of the things are moving to cloud with a combination of on-premise. So we need to be aware of okay, so I think this is not the correct. Yeah, so this is my account name. This is my IAM user, and let me enter my credentials. Okay, so here in Hadoop we have HDFS, that is Hadoop file system. Similarly in AWS we have S3, that is simple storage service. So what I have done is I have already uploaded this file. What was the file name? My file name was movies. Can you see this file? This is already there. So we can use the, I have used like command prompt, and what I've done is I've used my AWS console to upload the file. So we can use all the AWS APIs like S3. So I'm not going in detail over here. So I'm just moving a bit quickly. So the main thing is, so this will be shown in depth in coding when we are in training programs. So let me open the new things. What I have done is, second thing, what I have done is I have went to my Amazon Glue. So in this Amazon Glue, so what I have done is, so I have my data storage. Okay. So I have my storage. So what I need to do is I need to create crawlers over there. So I have created this crawler. So this crawler is created on my movie lens bucket. So if you see this, I have my movie lens bucket. So in this movie lens, I have my movies.csv. So here I'm creating a crawler. What this Amazon crawler does is it crawls on the respective object and it creates a database, and within this database there will be a table creation. So this is the job of crawler. So I've done that. After doing the crawler, what I've done is I've created a transformation script. Can you see this? This is the logic which I have written. This is in on-premise. But if you need to write on, if you need to write that in the, what do you say, Amazon Glue, so we need to follow, sorry, we need, we need to follow a certain syntax because we need to adhere to the AWS Glue syntax. So here, if you will see, I have imported some Glue, AWS Glue, Dynamic, etc., etc. So I have written small. Let me close this. This is in Python. I don't want to show in Python. I don't want to show in Scala because that will help you because my code is already in Scala. So here I have written my main method. Same way, I have read the file. So from this database, from this table, I have read the file. And what I have done is I have converted to data frame, and here I have written all the logic. And again, I have converted back. So what this did is when I ran this, actually this whenever you run the AWS Glue job, the amount of time you are taking, the amount of time the job is taking to run, you are charged on that. So that's why I don't need to, I am not running this because I've already pre-ran that. So in S3, you'll be getting this movies.output file. And in this, if you see this, so let me go over here. And if I go over here and if I download this, and if I show me this in folder, and let me just edit with notepad, and if you see this, all my columns like first the title and the year and all my genres have been separated. So that's the same code what I have achieved in my Eclipse, the same thing I have done in my AWS cloud. And the last thing is what you need to do is, so your tables would be getting created. Okay, so if you go inside this, let me go back, and you can query these tables using Athena also. How I'm writing my Spark SQL queries over here. So in my previous coding exercise, I've shown you this queries I was writing on my data frame. So the same thing, you can write the queries over here and you can get your transform data here also. Just, can you see this? And let me just scroll. Can you see this transform data? So I've just separated this. So this is the original data set, which is in single column. I have separated into two columns. And can you see this is the single column, which is separated by delimiter. It has multiple values. So I have kept that as well, and I have separated this into 5 columns. So this is the code for that. So pretty basic code, nothing much in that. So what I've done is I've just used with column function and substring. Then I have used a map function, and I've used a Scala programming to iterate over the transform data. So just not much to show because my main thing is just show you the simple coding because we would be starting from simple and going to the cloud level. So this is the same thing what we did in AWS and in Eclipse. So the coding is pretty simple. You just need to understand the concept and just go step by step. That's how you start coding and start from basics and move to ahead, move till ahead. So that's what I would be taking care. So any questions? Means don't ask questions on this AWS part because I have not explained anything in that. So I've just shown you how the AWS cloud services are used in the combination of on-premise. Being a data engineer now all the serv means we are moving in cloud. So we need to be prepared with the future technologies also because down the line 1 or 1.5 year everything will be going into cloud. So now whatever we are doing in on-premise, we should be able to know how to do that in the cloud as well. So related to that, all the AWS services like EC2, S3, then Amazon Glue, Athena, Redshift, then Lambda, etc., etc. I'll be taking care. So any questions? So any questions you have related to coding? What I showed you in this. It was pretty simple. I would have removed all this and I have showed you with the data frame method also. But I wanted to show you the previous method and the current method because in industry now, as of now in my current project, there are codes which are written in Spark 1.x also and Spark 2.x also. So we need to know how to play with RDDs and for sure we need to know how to play with data frames also. Okay, so actually this is what actually I plan. Let me go over here. So this is actually means my training program. This all I take care right from the beginning, like Hadoop fundamentals. Like I would be covering the architecture, then all the HDFS command. There are so many commands over here. Then we would be moving to MySQL and Scoop. So how to use MySQL, and there are so many things in Scoop. Then in Hive, so in Hive, as a Hive is a data warehouse like used in the project, so we need to that. Then we would jumping into Scala programming. Then after Scala programming, then we would move into Spark, and after Spark, we would be moving to NoSQL databases like HBase, Cassandra. Then we would be moving to Spark streaming. Then we would be moving to cloud. And what we are doing in my project, we are just pushing the code and cloning into everything. So Git and GitHub, we would be seeing how to commit the code, how to push the code into the cloud. So all the commands related to that. Then we need to, we should be able to do the integrations. Like we should be able to do the integrations with all the Hadoop ecosystems with Spark. Like we should be able to talk from Spark to Hive, HBase, Cassandra, Kafka, and anything Oracle database, etc., etc. So this is the thing which I'm planning to start a batch from this Saturday. So if anyone is interested, do let me know. So we will take care ahead from there. Okay, so I think we are done with the first two things. Now we will see the last scenario. That is, we'll take one scenario and since I have completed my CCA 175, that is Hadoop and Spark Developer Certification recently in April 2020. So in this certification, you are asked 7 to 9 scenario-based questions, and we have 2 hours of time to achieve to complete this, and we should be pretty comfortable to use the REPL method, that is read, evaluate, print, and loop in Scala, Spark, or PySpark. It's up to you, whichever language you are comfortable with it. I was comfortable with Spark and Scala, so I went with Spark and Scala. So let me go to the scenario. So this is the scenario. Now you have already seen the first method, that is creating case class, then defining the schema and creating the object. So in this, I will not show you that again. I'll not create. I'll show you the data frame method. That is the second method. I'll show you the second method. So we have all here. What we have done is we have used RAD method and we have used Spark SQL queries. Now to achieve this, what I will do is I'll use what I will do, I'll use the data frame. I'll not use the case class and I'll not use the object. So I'll use directly my data frame. And in previous scenario, I showed you Spark SQL. Here I'll show you DSL, that is domain specific language. So let's see that. What the scenario is, let me go to the scenario and let's understand the scenario first, what it is asking us to achieve. Okay, so what it is asking us, it is asking us that this is the input. Okay, I have the header and I have the data set, and this is the output which we need. Now what we need to achieve over here is find the employee count, cost to company for each group consisting of this. So if you see this, they have created a group on department, cadre and cost. So this is my department column, this is my cadre column, and this is my it should have been state. So let me change this to state, because if you see, this is my department. Okay, so this is the cadre, and if you see, this is the state. So this is being created one tuple, and what I need to find, I need to find the employee count. Okay, I need to find the employee count. So the employee count is 3 for New York. For this group, this is 2. So I need to find the employee count and I need to find the cost to company. Okay, so I need to find the cost to company. Okay, so we need to achieve two things. Okay, so in this scenario, we need to take care of two things. One is the creating one group, and the second thing is aggregation. So I'll not show you the RD method. I'll show you the data frame method. Before that, let me start my terminal, and let me start my all the services start-dfs.sh. So this will start my name node, data node, and the secondary name node. I would have written my start-all that .sh also, but that is deprecated. That was used in 1.x. So it's okay. So this is done. Let me clear off my screen, and if I see JPS, can you see name node is started, my data node is started, and then secondary name node. Let me start my yarn.sh. So yarn start will start your resource manager and your node manager. Okay, so let me do my JPS now. Java Program Services, and if you see the resource manager and the node manager, earlier it was job tracker and task tracker in 1.x. Now I will take my IP. So my IP is 192. Let me copy this and let me go to my putty and let me connect. So I've given the credentials, and let me increase the font size so that you can have a visual. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll change to my local file system, and I have my file. And if you just clear off the screen, and if I ls-ltr, so I've already loaded my sales.txt. So this is the file which I would be reading. I think I have that file. Okay, that's not a problem. So this is the sales.txt file. If you just cat on that file, so this is the data. Okay, so this is the data which is already present. Okay, now I'll start coding this and I'll try to implement this in the solution. Okay, so I'll use the data frame method, which is now pretty heavily used, and that is very easy to understand and easy to implement. And it eradicates a lot of steps like case class creation, object creation, map creation, etc., etc. Okay, let's go ahead with that. And in the meanwhile, what I will do is I will also open my Spark shell. So, and let me open my Spark shell. So let it open and let's start. Now, what I need to do is I need to put this file sales.txt in my. Now I am on Edge node. So what is Edge node and what is the Hadoop node, Hadoop file system? So that will be taken care. So what I will do is I will use my HDFS command, HDFS DFS. So let me see, my present working directory is this. So I'll use my hdfs command, hdfs dfs. I'm putting the file. So the file is this. Okay. So what is my file name? My file name is sales.txt. Where I need to put user, set, and Hadoop file system input. I need to put this over here. I think that file should be available. Okay, yes, that file is already available and it is telling me file exists. If you want to eradicate this, what you can do is you can just use the -f option. That is, it will override that and it will not throw you that message. Okay. Now, if you want to list that file, is dfs-ill user save Hadoop file system and input. Let me show that path. And in that path, I have this, then hdfs dfs-cat. All the Unix commands are being used. Can you see? I have my file in my Hadoop file system. With the put method, I was able to put this file into my Hadoop file system. Okay, I have my file. Let me copy this path. Now, let me go to my Spark shell. Okay, my Spark shell is ready. And if you'll see, in Spark shell, we have Spark as well as SC. So SC stands for Spark context and Spark stands for Spark session. So it's already written away. Can you see Spark context is available as SC and Spark session is available as Spark. Okay, let's move ahead. Now I would be reading my, so val and var, what a val where we'll see later stage. So sales data frame. Now here I would be using spark dot read dot format. My format of the file is CSV. Okay, that is good. Let's move. I have the header. Okay, I don't need to create case class and blah blah blah. So it's pretty easy over here. So header, yes, I have that header and I just need to say true. Okay, that's good. Then what I need to do is I need to say and load. From where I need to load, just give that path over here, which I have already copied. Done. So let me enter that. Okay, what is there is a path does not exist. Why path does not exist? What have, okay, sorry. So what I've done is I have copied the Spark session which I showed you. So let me copy this path and let me paste this away and let me clear off the screen and let's hit enter. Load, what it is telling, what is telling unclosed literal string. So can you see this message? It always gives you the error. We need to see that error and it points us also. Here I have mentioned the double quote, but I have not mentioned the double quote over here. So just need to see the error and need to eradicate that. So this is how we need to move ahead with the stuff. Can you see this? My data frame is created. And if you just write sales data frame dot show, done. No need to do so many things. Create a case class out of it. No need to remove the header. No need to map split and no need to map. All these things in Spark 2.x in the advanced things, it has the revolution has evolved and they have taken to a next level and it becomes pretty easy for us. So done. If you want to select few columns, what you can do is you can write sales data frame dot select. First, I'll show you how to select all the columns. You just need to mention the star and you just need to write show so you can see all the columns. If you don't want to see all the columns, I just want to see first two columns, that is department, and the second column is cadre. Just see those two columns. You can do that also. Pretty easy. Okay, so now done. I'm done with the creation. Now I would be using the DSL method. I'll not use Spark SQL. So what is DSL? Domain specific language. Like sales group data. So what I need to do is, let me go to my scenario. Okay, I need to group on three columns. What are those three columns? Department, cadre, and let me do the state away. I need to group. Okay, so what was my data frame name? It was my sales data frame dot. So I just need to use a group by function. Okay, so what are those three columns? So this is the first column and let me, so I'll just use the third. Okay, so this is double. First column name is department cadre. So department the second column name is cadre, sorry, CADRE, and the third column name is state. Okay, so where I have done my group by. Now on this group by, what I need to do is I need to find the employee count and cost to company. Okay, so I need to do a aggregation. So aggregation, what will be my aggregation? Count. What I need to do, I need to do a count on, so let me just remove this. Okay, so I need to do a department. So on this department, I'm doing a count. Okay, so I'll just name this as alias. I'm just naming that as my employee count. Okay, so I've done my employee count. Now what I need to do is I need to find my sum of cost to company. So let me write that sum of, okay, so let me write what was my cost to company. Okay, I've written that cost to company and I'll just name that as alias. And what will be that alias name? Let me see, what was that alias name? It was cost to company. Okay, so I'll just give that as my cost to company alias. Let me go over here and just write cost to company and let me hit enter. Can you see this data frame has been converted? Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just copy this, go over here, and I'll just use a show method. So can you see the computation is done? And what I'll do is I'll just apply a order by clause, and I'll do a order by on, let's say, employee count. Let's do that. Okay. Mhm. Okay, so now my data is sorted on the basis of employee count. Can you see this? I have just achieved that. So whatever we needed, so let me go to my output. So can you see this? I'll just show you one thing. Sales lead New York. So the employee count is 3 and the cost to company is 96,000. Let me go for New York. Where is the New York? Okay, here. Can you see this is the combination? The employee count is 3 and the cost is 96,000. So with the help of data frame, it becomes pretty easy, and your lot of coding efforts are saved, and it gives you a tabular format to write many DSL and that is domain specific language and the Spark SQL related queries. So I would have achieved this through Spark RDDs also, but again what I would have done, I've created a case class, I would have split, I would have done object, then converted to data frame, and then I would have written. So in data frame, I can directly read and manipulate as per my requirement scenario. So this is it. So we have achieved the, so in like this in your certification, there will be some scenarios asked like 7 to 9. So you need to write. And what we can do is we can write this to our Hadoop file system also. So while writing, they will tell you write in the Parquet format. While reading, they'll tell you read in the Parquet format. So we need to be sure with the different file formats, with the different APIs, with the different methods. So this is it. So that's what actually I wanted to show you, everything right from the Scala Spark coding in the Eclipse to the REPL method. How does the REPL method reflects over here, and a little bit of cloud. How does your cloud looks, and how are your AWS services, and how is your script, and what is your storage. So this is it. So any questions, you have? So now you can ask questions. I'm done with my demonstration, what I needed to show you all. So I have a lot of time in my hand actually. So any questions, people? People might be knowing, few people would be knowing Hadoop, so they are pretty much well equipped. Any questions? What would be there in the AWS? What would be there in the coding? So I'll be taking care everything. So here in this, I would be taking care. I would be showing you 4 projects. So not four. I've added one more. So there will be 5 projects. So one would be in a combination of Scoop and Hive. So in this, we will be combining is, and I would be writing a shell script. to automate that. I'll be showing you that. So two projects would be on Spark and Scala, Spark and Scala with streaming as well. And so 1 plus 3, there will be two projects in AWS and Spark Scala. So we'll have the knowledge of everything. We'll be having the cloud knowledge, we'll be having the Spark streaming knowledge, we'll have the Scoop and Hive knowledge. This is with respective to your interview perspective only. Then I would be taking care of CCA 1745 certification. I would be sharing you almost 60 plus scenarios. So I'll be sharing you 60 plus scenarios wherein you can go through these scenarios and you can solve and become proficient to appear and crack the CCA 175 certification. With that, we would be taking care with 100 plus assignments, end-to-end 100 plus assignments would be there for right from the start till the end. There will be some complex processing also. We'll be seeing how to process complex JSON, nested JSON, etc., etc. We'll be taking care of that also. And that is the thing. And yes, all the dependencies, how to do the deployment, how to do the deployment, plus how to push the code in your GitHub, that will be taken care, because we need to push our code in the cloud also, so that other developer is working. If he's working on enhancement, he can pull that code and work on the modified code. So that is there. So this is it. So that's it from my side. Um, I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. No questions? No one has no questions.
Yeah,
So
hi,
if you
Seth.
don't have any,
Hello.
yeah, yes,
Yeah, hi.
yes,
Yeah. So, when you start your first batch from the Saturday?
yes, yes. I already have 9 to 10 students. So I'm starting with this Saturday. I have already shared the Cloudera VM access to them. So they would be downloading the Cloudera VM, and they would be keeping it ready, so that right from day one I would be starting by HDFS command, because I less means I believe in practical hands-on, so I will not do much theoretical session. So this will be 3 hour session. So initial 1 hour, yes, we need to know why Hadoop, what is the architecture, what are the replications, what are the rack things, all the things. So I'll be just taking 1 hour daily in Saturday, Sunday, 1 hour, and if we finish that, the remaining 2 hours will be practical hands-on. So I'll be showing you two, three commands I'll be implementing on my system, and then you would be implementing on your system. So this will be taken care throughout the process. This will be taken care so that you are hands-on. Because until unless we don't do hands-on, we will not be able to get a grip on this technology. So that's my main focus is. So after 4 months, you should be pretty much confident in writing the codes in Spark, Eclipse, and you should be pretty confident in writing in the REPL method, the black screen which I showed, and you should be pretty confident writing the code in AWS also. Because if you go in the interviews, they are asking, do you have any cloud knowledge? Yes, we are future ready also.
Okay. And which version we will use for Spark and
I
Scala?
I would be using all the latest version, because we would be practicing with all the latest versions, Spark 2.x. So you can use 2.3, you can use 2.4, you can use 2.1. It's up to us. But we need to use 2.x, because in that we'll have Spark session. And in this Spark session, we already have Spark context, SQL context, and Hive context also. So we can write the code in the previous method also. I'll be showing you that in the previous method also. If you see, can you see this Spark 1.6x, 1.6, I've already written this code. I'll just
Hmm.
expand this, because we need to know how the previous method also worked and the newer version. We would be focusing mostly on the new code, but yes, we would be focusing on the previous code also.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, yes. Ideally, the fees is like 22,000, but with this online mode, I'm just moving into 16,000 because I preferably we go for classroom trainings, but few of my students are already enrolled in my classroom trainings, and I need to start. So that's why I'm coming to online mode. So I've reduced the fees to 16K. We can pay in two installment also. If you want, you can attend 2, 3 classes also. You can attend 2 weekends classes also. I'll share the VM with you also. It's not a much big deal because that is freely available, and you can attend 2 weekends also. So you'll understand how I'm delivering the classes. So what are the practical things? And if you go to my YouTube channel also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel also. I have my YouTube channel as well. So earlier I used to take trainings on Informatica. So if you type just Informatica by Ceph, so this is my YouTube channel. So whatever the future things, I have already have my videos on Hadoop. So if you see Hadoop, and I already have my Spark videos on the certification scenarios also. And I have my word count program also. If you just go to this word count program, I think this was on May 2019 I have uploaded. So here I have shown everything right from the basics, how to prepare, how to download the dependency, how to, so everything this will be taken care, whatever the coding which I showed you. So here I have shown that only. So this is a word count program. You can go over there and you can subscribe also in future. If I'm coming with any workshops, certification scenarios, you'll get that and you'll get to know. Anything which we need to ask, means like how will be the training, what will take care. So all the recorded sessions will be provided to you once we finish the class. I'll be uploading on Gmail. You can have that access and you can practice, revisit that. That would be there for your lifetime. Do not share this with anyone because we are putting efforts to train you, and what other people does is you give this to someone and they start selling. So it becomes ethicless. So we are putting efforts, and that should be worth of that. So if people are joining, I would request them not to share this with anyone. Keep it with yourself because you have paid this to keep it with you. Don't sell because that selling other things eradicates the credibility of us because we're putting efforts. I have seen people on FP also, so that is not good because you are earning on someone else's efforts. That is apart from that. Any questions related to course, like how, what will be the, like anything which comes to your mind. Any questions which comes to your mind related to coding. Don't worry about the coding which I showed over here. This is very easy. So I'll be taking all the codes right from the scratch. I will not be doing any copy paste because people usually do copy paste and you don't know where this came, what error it came. If remember earlier we got error, so we need to see those errors. And also when I was writing my code in REPL method, I faced a couple of errors, not many but a couple of errors. So we should be able to understand that errors. We should be able to eradicate those errors. Yes, Google is always there with us. First time if we don't know, yes, we'll Google it, but if we know that error, second time we'll not be able to Google that. So we need to understand that error also. Just read that error and you'll come to know, okay, am I missing something? I'm not creating properly. I'm not creating, am I missing syntax? You'll come to know. And this coding is pretty easy. You just need to follow certain steps and you'll get there for sure. By the end of the training program, you will be pretty confident to write good codes like this. So I'll just show you a few codes. Like if you see this, so this is a Python code. So I'll be showing you PySpark also here. So can you see this? This is the PySpark code which I have written in the Amazon Glue. So you can, means I'll show you little bit to the depth, means how to write the code in AWS, also how to deploy the code, how to spin off your cluster, how to spin up, spin down your cluster in AWS. So that will be also taken care in this training program. So that's what actually I'm uh, uh, pro planning is, because down the line, 1.5 year, when once everything moves on cloud, so people should not go to again, okay, I did not know cloud, and now again I need to go to, or maybe I need to enroll for AWS and I need to learn only few services related to big data. You don't need to put effort again. So this is one time we would be putting efforts for 4 months, and we will be pretty sure that we are well equipped with the technical content for the current market as well as the future market. There is my intent. That's what my intent out of this training program.
Can you show us the curriculum once again?
Yes, sure. I'll just go ahead with that.
Thank
So
you.
if let's go ahead with this. I'll just enhance the screen. And if you'll see, I'll be starting pretty with basics. My plan is for this batch, actually, I would be taking care of Scoop and Hive. From the next batch onwards, what I would be doing is I will be putting more efforts on programming like Scala, Spark, or PySpark, or AWS. Because this Scoop and Hive, this is only for interview perspective. But yes, we need to know that, because we need to know what is Hadoop. Earlier in the Hadoop 1.x, when MapReduce programs were written, there were different ecosystems which were doing different jobs. In Pig, we need to write scripts. In Hive, we need to write SQL-like programming or SQL-like queries. We need to have Flume, where we had streaming context. We need to have a Scoop where we can import and export data, etc., etc. With the introduction of Spark, all this ecosystem has been eradicated slowly and slowly. And everything can be done in Spark. And Spark is 100 times faster as compared to Hadoop when we go with in IO terms like input and output seeks, because Hadoop 1.x, what it does is it whatever the intermediate result, it writes onto your disk. So there are lots of IOs. Whereas in Spark, we have less number of IOs. Reason being is Spark is a lazy evaluation framework. It everything it what it does is it computes in memory, and unless we call the actions, that transform data is evaluated lazily, is kept in the RAM, that is not uh, retrieved. Once you perform the action, then only your data is being retrieved from RAM. So that's why it is pretty faster to compare to Hadoop. And in Spark, it is with the help of in the earlier versions like Hadoop 1.x, we had to write coding like a simple word count program. We need to write driver class, map class, like 70 to 80 lines of program. But with the introduction of Spark, the coding became so easy that we can achieve the same piece of code in just four or in just 2 3 lines. That's how the coding became easy. So this is the curriculum which I am taking in this batch. So we'll going with the introduction, then the Hadoop architecture, then all the HDFS commands. So if I'll just show you, let me go to my training material. If I'll go to HDFS, so these are the documents which I'll be taking care. So I'll just show you the Hadoop commands document. So everything is being documented with the screenshot and the commands. You'll get everything step by step, slowly and slowly. So everything would be practiced in class, and you would be practicing along with me. So once we finish this HDFS commands, then we would be moving to the next thing is that is MySQL. So MySQL is just nothing but it's just your SQL kind of things if you know, but still we need to know some commands to write. I've already written those commands, and we should be able to do that. And if we go with the Scoop, there are a lot of commands which we need to take care of. So Scoop, how to import, export data. Again, here, if you'll see, I have prepared a Scoop documentation, which will have everything documented with screenshots, how to write the commands, everything till the end. So you will become proficient once you go practicing. Then you'll go for Hive. So in Hive, again, we'll have all the, so again, it's a big document, kind of almost 70 page. And again, it will have everything with screenshots. So let me go to the syllabus. So once we complete Scoop, there will be a Hive introduction, and there are a lot of things which will be covering in Hive. So a lot of things. And once we finish this, there will be a small project in the integration of Scoop and Hive. So we'll be writing incremental loading and loading the data into the Hive partition tables. Then what we're doing, we would be automating this. So for the first time, if we would be getting the history file, we'll be loading that. From the second day onwards, we would be getting the change data. So we just need to capture the change data and load the data. So we would be automating that through shell script. Then after that, we would be moving to your programming concepts, that is Scala. So again, I have all the documents documented with screenshot. So if you'll go to the final notes, there are so many things. So I'll just pick anything. Let's go with the collections because these are pretty much used. So how to write the REPL mode and I'm explaining the REPL mode and also the Eclipse mode. We can practice both the things as we become comfortable and proficient. So all the topics are being taken care over here. So right, we'll be starting from introduction and we'll be moving to exception handling, the objects, how to do the function programming, how to do the loops, how to do the collections. After that, we will be moving to Spark. In Spark also, we'll be having everything, whatever is needed. So let me go to the, I have not means here the document looks a bit so, but if you go, there are a lot of things in Spark we'll be taking. So I've mentioned over here everything minutely. And then we will be moving to NoSQL database like HBase and Cassandra. So these are the NoSQL database. So we'll be taking care of both the database. My primarily focus would be on Cassandra. So NoSQL database, so HBase and Cassandra, both the things are documented again. So let me go over here. So everything is documented with screenshot. There will be a case study. So that's why we'll be covering these two NoSQL database. Again, we'll be covering with Kafka. Again, there are small things mentioned over here. But if we go to the topics and if we'll go to the Kafka and we'll go to the document, again, it's pretty much, it almost has everything like how to create producers, how to create consumers, how to create multiple broker IDs, etc., etc. Then after that, there will be a lot of integrations. Integrations in the sense we need to integrate everything from, if you see this topics, integration. So I'll go with the integration topic. Let me go with the integration topic. So I have already documented that Scoop to Hive, then we have my Hive to MySQL, etc., etc. So everything we can talk with each other. Everything is done over here. And then we'll have GitHub also. So we would be pushing the codes to our, if you go to GitHub, then what is GitHub, differences between, everything has been documented with a screenshot. We'll be creating our account on GitHub and we would be downloading this software, pushing the code to cloud and cloning it, pulling it, doing a commit, conflict merge, rebase, stash, etc., etc. After that, and the final thing would be the projects. So I've already shown you one case study. So let me show you if I can show. I think I have that in my, yes, I have that. Let me go to my data. I do data set. Let me go to project food. Let me go to data set. And if I go here, I have prepared one POC on this. I am in the process of preparing the second POC. Can you see this? We would be uploading the data into S3, then we would be using Amazon EMR, that is Elastic MapReduce, then the Amazon Glue, and I would be querying that Athena, and I would be using the visualization. So my final outcome of this project should be this. I should be able to prepare a report, a small introduction. So this is about the curriculum which I'll be taking care in the 4 months class. Any questions?
Hi, Sif. This is Sunil. At the end of the session, can we do the GCP process also, like without
Yes. So
Amazon?
whatever, yes. I just missed you. Sorry. Can you please come again?
Yeah, can we integrate with GCP? I mean, we getting the data from the GCP and pushing it into the Spark, integrating into the Spark.
Yes. See, why I am showing you AWS is because I am working on AWS. But if you work on one cloud, You can work on any cloud. You can work with GCP, you can work with Azure, you can work with Alibaba, you can work with IBM also, and you can with Oracle also. So 6 major cloud competitors are there in the market. You can use any one of them. It's no compulsion that you need to know AWS only. You can use GCP also. The only thing is terminologies will get changed. The look and feel will get changed. But at the end, all the cloud services are doing the same thing, nothing else.
Okay. Also, we can do the at the end we can do the end-to-end pipelining for this project, right? Any POC for end-to-end
Yes.
pipeline.
Yeah, that's what actually here if you see, I think did I close? No, I did not
Actually, I
close that.
missed the. I mean, actually, I missed it for first 1 hour, so I don't know the question.
No issues, no issues. I will be uploading this I'm recording this. I will be uploading on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and in the group also, I would be once I upload this on YouTube, I will be sharing the link in the group also. So you can see right from the start till the end. So from what we have done from the start, we have written this code right from the beginning. It was a pretty clear screen. We wrote the code, we saw the output. Then we saw one certification scenario, practical implementation. Then I showed one AWS Glue, whatever I have written the code, Let me just shift this. So the Glue means here it was the code which I have written with the help of Glue. So I have shown that also. I have not practically shown this just to save time, but yes, in the training program, this would be covered right from the basics. So everything
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be sharing that link. You can start from the beginning. You can just invest your 1.5 hour in your spare time and you'll get to know everything.
Okay, sir. And what will
Yeah.
be the proposed timings for this one?
I'm planning to keep a morning time 7 to 10. Reason being is so that we'll get time to spend with our family, loved one also. And if a time comes that we need to practice also, we can spend means after spending some times with our personal work and family work, we can sit in evening time also or maybe a late night also to work on the practice. It depends on individuals. But I'm proposing a timing of 7 to 10. I have already have 10 students with me. I'm just looking for 4 to 5 students. If not, even I'm ready because I'm starting from this Saturday. I've already shared my Cloudera VM access to them, so they have already downloaded and extracted. So I'll be connecting with them on Friday so that they'll be ready with the system. So that this Saturday for initial 1 hour will be theory and we'll be starting right with the basic commands, HDFS commands, and we'll move on the hands-on.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions? Sunil
Hi, Seth.
Chaudhary.
This is
Yes,
Ashish here.
yes. Yes, Ashish.
Seth, just wanted to confirm one thing. For the installation part, like you said, you have shared the Oracle VM with the guys,
Yes, Cloudera
right?
VM.
Right. So from Saturday and Sunday, like you're going to start the new batch. So for
Yes,
that, how you would be able to help with the installation?
that's what I've done is I've just shared the VM access to them. So what they would be doing is they would be downloading this Cloudera VM and have a virtual VM workstation. That is the virtual box they would be downloading. So I would be connecting them with either on Friday, maybe I'll just ping on the group and maybe late night or early morning. So we'll connect on Friday. So I'll take a remote access to someone's screen and I would be recording that and we would be doing that for the students who have already joined. So that they would be ready on Friday itself. So once we come to Saturday, so we'll be doing we will be ready with the system. And once I finish my 1 hour of theory session, that will be a boring session, but we can't escape that. We need to know the basic things also. And then we'll be starting the 2 hours hands-on.
And are we going to cover PySpark as well in these sessions? For example, like
Yes,
you were focusing on.
predominantly my focus would be on Scala Spark because we should be
Mhm.
technically competent and strong in one technology, that is Scala Spark. What I would be doing is once we start with Scala Spark, once Scala programming, I would be sharing Python videos with the students. So they would be
Okay.
going through the videos and upskilling them with the Python language. Once I finish my Scala programming, you should be able to aim to finish, or you can go with your pace, no issues. Once we start with Spark framework, what I would be doing is after one class or two class, when we are pretty much comfortable writing small programs in Spark Scala, I will be showing you how to download the Anaconda, the PyCharm, and then we would be doing the configuration. And I'll be showing you two, three means how to create small programs, and I'll showing you how to convert the RDDs data frames. And from there, you can take onwards whatever I'm doing on Scala Spark. If you're interested to convert into PySpark, you can convert into PySpark. It's up to us.
Yeah.
But my predominant focus would be on Scala Spark. But yes, you can go with both the language.
Okay. So one thing these like you will provide that Oracle VM for installation and we'll be working on Spark
Don't worry about the
2.x.
don't worry about the installations,
Yeah, just wanted to
documentations.
understand that. That's it.
Everything would be
Just wanted to
taken care right from the basics, because I will not
okay.
be under impression that you have I will not be telling you go here and download this and go here. I have already downloaded things because I don't want you to download something else and fall into trouble. And because of that, we would be investing time to troubleshoot that. And in turn, we would be wasting our time and would be deviating from the learnings. I don't want to do that. Yes, there will be obstructions. There will be some blockage. Yes, there will be always there. But we need to overcome that. That's what we do in real time. So there will be some dependency issues. My code is working here in REPL mode, but my code is not working in Eclipse. My code is working in Eclipse, but when I'm deploying the code, it is not working. So that's
Mhm.
what, as a developer, you need to be straight. Initially, I would be taking you and I would be catching you with my finger. And slowly, as the code gets progressed, I would be removing my hand and leaving my finger, so that people should become independent. So that's where this assignments, whatever the assignments and the certification scenarios will come into picture. So there are
Mhm.
so many assignments, we should be good. And I would be following up, means like once I get time out of my personal work, I'll be just pinging what is the update, where are the screenshots, or have you pushed the code? If you're not pushing the GitHub, at least share the screenshot so that I'll get to know where the people are learning, where the people are getting stuck. So if we need to join on the weekends half an hour or 1 hour early, so that we can look into the issues, we can do that as well. And it's not a 4 months relationship that a class is over and the work is done. So even after 4 months, if we are facing any issues related to this technology, you can come. There will be always, I will be always there. So it's not just a training program that you are associated with me, because in this training program, all the 8 to 10 students are my Informatica students, which have learned. They know me because how I trained them. And you can go on the YouTube link also, which I will be sharing, or you can just explore that. I have so many, not many videos, but few videos,
Mhm.
and I train pretty well. That's my motto, because once you take the training, you should be pretty technically confident to write something. You should not be learning theoretically, because there are n number of videos are available in YouTube. There are n number of contents available in on Google. There are n number of Udemy courses are available. Yes, we get the pretty basic knowledge, but we need to upskill, because once we go to an industry, we will not be able to survive with this basic knowledge. We should be able to move a bit in advance. We should be able to write the code. And if you see this, what this code, the initial code was a simple code, but this data cleansing code, I have used some functions over here. So there are some functions which I have used. There is some Scala program. If you see, there is a Scala programming I have used, and I have segregated this. Means it looks a bit simple piece of code, but to achieve this, people will take half an hour and 1 hour. So we should become pretty much confident. Yes, we should be writing this code maybe in 10-15 minutes, not much more than half an hour should take after this end of the course. If you will start writing this code now, means people who know, yes, they'll take at least more than half an hour. If they're pretty much confident, we should not take more than half an hour. So that's where the intention is out of this training program. We should be pretty confident on the technical concepts what we are learning here, provided whatever we are learning on weekends, you should do hands-on simultaneously with me. Also, the assignments which I am giving weekly, there will be 4 to 5 assignments. So daily, if you do 111 Monday to Friday, we can achieve daily, and don't do in a single day. See, I know you will do in a single day and achieve, but my motto is if you'll open your VM daily and if you'll start writing daily, so your mind will start thinking in that direction. Because what we do in office work, day-to-day work, we do the same thing. And whenever we don't know, nobody need to teaches us, okay, what we need to do, because our mindset is set in that way and we know the things. That's how we need to train ourselves and also our mind, that we should be practicing daily, half an hour to 1 hour, so that our hands-on are going into the code, we are seeing the code, we are seeing the system, we are seeing the issues and doing the work. So daily practice, so that your head and your mind and your fingers are getting in sync. I hope that answers your questions.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. Anything more? Anything more which you would like to know? I think I am done with
Yes,
my
sir.
stuff. Yes.
I said, so could you also provide like a more practical scenarios, while we were doing the projects, like, how much amount of data is being ingested in the
Yes,
real
yes, yes.
time?
Why not? See, this real-time questions definitely. See, in my project, I'll just brief you a little bit on 5 minutes, not more than that. So in my project, we are working on a banking project. Okay. So what we are doing is we are doing some history migration, and we have transactional files, we have non-transactional files, how much volume of data is coming, how much time is consumed, how we calculate the Spark memory, executor memory, driver memory, how to do a Spark submit, how to parameterize that. Everything will be taken care. Don't worry. I'll be showing you close to the close what we are doing in the real time. That's
Yeah,
what
and
on my
also, like, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no
And
issues.
also, like, yeah, we have questions like, what kind of, how many, what is the kind of environment companies are using, and
Correct.
nodes, and what is the size of the
Yes, yes,
cluster,
yes. Don't
all
worry
those
about
things.
that. Uh, to
Because
answer that, yeah,
because we
yes,
think
please.
that, once we complete this training, we will be left with these kind of questions, while we
See,
were attending.
definitely. See, that's where I will come into picture. So it's not that a 4 months training program. So whichever batch you are in, so that group will be always there till the time I am alive. So you will be coming. See, it's not that in this 4 months you will be learning everything. Correct? So whatever 4 months, yes, I will be there to guide you. I will be there to help you. But in between also and after the course also, you will be exploring things. You will be coming to know few questions. You will be coming to know few things that we didn't learn. Yes, come back to me. I will go work on that and I will come up with the solution to you. So it's not that I would be leaving the students. It could be a scenario where you will be coming up with new things and I would be learning from you. Because of you, I would get a new learning. So it always a learning from both the ways, from me to you and from you to me. So we need to shake hands. It's not like that I would be leaving the hands. The only thing is you just need to give some time to me because I have office also and I will take care of. But yes, no questions because in the group, what I will be doing is I would be assigning one admin person because I'll be seeing this who is the person who is catching quickly, and I would be assigning one person so that what I would be doing is I'll be assigning an admin role to him. So because most of the time I'll be busy with my work, I would be peeking into it. But if the answers are not getting solved in the week's time, I'm talking about the training. So I'll be asking the admin group, just jot down the questions so that we can discuss in the class, or once I get the time, I'll be answering the questions in WhatsApp also. So there will be a to and fro mechanism also. Don't worry about that. That's where the training goes. See, you will be getting this training everywhere. So what's the difference between me and the other institutes or the other trainers who are training? My primary focus is on the technical content. So if you see the technical content, whatever I have mentioned in the PDF syllabus, I will be not skipping anything. As compared to other people, I'm not blaming anyone, or I'm not. People show things, but they do not demonstrate or go with those things. They just show once you are enrolled, the work is done. Their money is with them, and they just go with the scheduled 40 hours, 60 hours, and they are done. But here I will be taking a minute observation to my training course, and I will be implementing all the things. Sometimes there will be some questions of yours which will be not relevant to the current topic. It will be relevant to the future topics. What I would be creating is I would be creating a text pad, and I would be writing those questions and mentioning that as parking. So there is a systemized system which I follow, and maybe you can, people who are joining it can give me few more suggestions so that this training programming enhances the learning curve of students, and at the end of 4 months or 5 months, they become a better professionals as technical in this technology. I hope that answers your questions, Karthik.
Yes.
Yeah.
I by mistake exited the group. Could you please add me again? I just pinged you my phone.
Yes. I think you can ping me personally also. So I'll add you there also. And also I'll just show you the these are the certifications, like scenarios I am preparing, so that by the end of the course you'll have everything. So I already have these solved with me. So I will not be giving you the solution because you need to achieve this solution. But yes, if you are giving it up, yes, then I would be giving the solutions. But once we are in my training program, can you see this? We have already done this, the reading, the case class, and the object class, and this is the reduce by key. I've already shown you. With the data frame, I've already shown you this. So this all we all would be learning in this training program. So you will be pretty confident. Yes, there will be some scenario which will not be covered, like few APIs will not cover. But yes, once the scenario comes, we'll be learning that, okay, I'm not getting that. Let's Google it, and that would be new learning for us. We can share in the group so that other people are benefited, and even I get a new learning. This is how the learning will progress during the 4 months. Anything more which I need to address? So if no questions, can I close this session? Can someone respond, please? If you're good, so I'll close this recording, and I'll close the session also.
Yeah, that's fine.